Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, you know, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Top bumps we take, we rise again. Blood and grit, it's how we begin. Mac and Aaron fire up the flame. Wrestling lives on the Tough Bumps name.
Hey, everybody, take two. Welcome to episode 5 of the Tough Bumps podcast. I'm Matt Connerton, and with me all the way from Iowa, Eric Pilcher.
Yeah, I don't think people want us to talk about Bill Goldberg today.
Oh, I'll have to ask you. Right, of course. Yes, but well, maybe we will. But hard to in a way. But we'll get to that. But I say take two because we'll pull back the curtain a little bit. So we tried to do take one, and everything kind of froze up on my end. So now we're doing take two. Because we are streaming live. This is only our second time streaming the show live as we record it. And I do realize most of you will be or are listening to this in the podcast version of the show, but it is fun to go live on a Saturday afternoon, and maybe we'll get some interaction. I should probably, in fact, make sure that I have the chat room open so I can see if anyone does happen to chime in on the various social media channels as we do stream the show live on this Memorial Day weekend. But
yes,
so good to see you, Eric. I guess I'll repeat this, by the way, because I'm sure throughout the show, if you do hear my voice cracking, I am going through puberty for a second time. It's very exciting. No, the pollen is brutal right now.
I want to go get that packed.
I want to go get what?
Puberty for the second time.
Yes. I don't know. I guess I'm going to get a whole new layer of body hair. I don't know what's going to happen exactly, but very exciting. But
well, don't shave it off. Because if you shave it off back in fuller.
That's what I've always heard. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I've always heard. And
if Seinfeld said it, it's true.
Yes. So this morning, Eli Lev was one of the guests on Matt Connerton Unleashed, and he told me that in the Northeast, that he learned this recently, that in the Northeast, we have the highest level of pollen in the entire world, the highest concentration of pollen here in the Northeast.
I mean, that's because you're in Cockaloo County.
Yes, Cockalooka County, as a certain individual from. That's what the real New Yorkers call where I live and where you live as well. I get the feeling that there are many Cockalooka counties around the United States,
all the way in Idaho.
Yes, that's amazing. That's amazing. Lots of Cockalooka County. But yes, this is episode 5 of Tough Bumps on this Memorial Day weekend. And Eric, talk amongst yourselves for a moment. I'm going to reach for my inhaler.
Oh, okay.
It's that bad. I think I need my inhaler, but we are live. I don't want to interrupt anything. Just talk amongst yourselves.
Well, everyone, I hope you're having a very good Memorial Day weekend.
Eric, did you literally just now start talking?
Yeah.
Okay.
And someone asking me if we were live, and I'm messaging them that yes.
Oh.
And yeah, I'm sorry. That's me.
I'll edit that on the podcast. It's no big deal.
Yeah, I literally was just like, oh crap, I'm supposed to be doing something here. I'm supposed to be talking to the masses or the minimal of what we have, but you know.
I'm hoping that are you familiar with the show Who Are These Podcasts?
I've never heard of it. You have mentioned a show.
Yes. Who are these podcasts hosted by Carl Hamburger? And he picks on various podcasts online, and maybe perhaps he'll see this and he'll make fun of me using my
I can
inhaler
think
and
of
all of
a
that.
live show that he should pick.
Yeah. Well, no, it would be beneath him. I know the show you're talking about. It would be beneath him. It's for the same reason that Patrick Melton barely pays any attention to him anymore. The particular program you're talking about.
I don't know. I think you have to have consistent air dates. Well,
Yeah.
like we have been on now for a month.
That's right. We committed and we haven't missed a week since.
Yes, we are, as say, in fuego.
Yes. That means on fire, right?
Yeah, Matt.
Okay, good. Just making sure.
Good job.
Yeah, I try to keep up with all the lingo because it is obviously
It is.
You want to appeal to a young demographic. I want people to think that we're a couple of hep cats and not some jive turkeys. So I try to keep up with the lingo.
Hip. I'm with it.
Yes, look at you. Yes, wow. That is impressive.
I hurt my shoulder.
Well, that can happen.
Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm just
that
old.
Can happen. That can happen at any age. Now, I'm older than you, but I don't feel old. Am I just delusional?
I don't know, Matt. You seem pretty youthful and vibrant.
Thank you. Thank you. Clean living, my friend. Clean living. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do any drugs. I do ingest massive amounts of caffeine.
I do as well. But you know what I had for dinner last night? This is nutrition.
What?
I had a Dairy Queen cotton candy blizzard and a large order of cheese curds.
Okay. Yeah. Do you eat like that on a consistent basis?
No, usually my meal,
good.
I have meat, a starch, and my veggie drink, which is a drink mix that gives you 2 servings of fruits and vegetables. It tastes exactly like it sounds. Awful, but it's better than vegetables, which I can't because of their consistency, crunch, and no taste. At least I can see this drink. It tastes awful.
Yeah, but it has a taste. Okay. Well, good. All right. Well, very good. Very good.
But on the holiday weekends, it's so hard to eat healthy, though. Because I would have a 3-day weekend this weekend, so I kind of just want to order pizza, Chick-fil-A. You know what I mean? Like no, there is not a part of me that wants healthy. And then my glucose monitor alarm, which I should probably make, that's going to be off for the duration of this.
Oh yes.
It's one of those things that 2 minutes before the silencer came off. So glad I checked that.
Phew.
Yeah.
Oofda,
that would have been problematic.
If that had happened and Carl Hamburger from Who Are These Podcasts had seen it, he'd make fun of it. I actually want that to happen. I want him to make fun of us because then we'll be internet famous like immediately. But
there's porn on that. Like, I would like to be internet famous because people are like, oh, they know what they're talking about. They have it together. I don't know. There is a level of notoriety for being a complete buffoon. I mean, how else do you explain clarity of people like Joel Osteen, Bill O'Reilly, and Rachel? I mean, there's a level of people just have to watch you if you're an idiot.
I actually like Rachel Maddow, but
I
don't think any of those people are. I don't think any of those people are idiots that you mentioned. I think they're all smart in their own ways. Joel Osteen. I mean, he's a pretty successful guy. I don't agree with what he does.
No, but he milks. He milks the desperate for their money. Like there's
He's not stupid. He's just evil.
to do it. Okay,
yeah,
well,
exactly.
stupid, evil, douchebag. I mean, it's all one of the same to me.
I mean, if everyone who was evil, if they were also stupid, then we wouldn't have a problem because you just say, "Oh, they're evil," cast them out, ignore them, whatever. But it's the evil people who are also smart who get away with their immense evil. But all that being said, we should probably talk some wrestling. And
We should.
I was quite surprised. You know, before we get to the main event, of course, and if you anyone who saw or listened to last week's show, you know what the main event is this week. But for the undercard, we had discussed maybe talking about, because I don't remember anything like this happening before.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
They did the whole dog and pony show announcing WrestleMania 42 in New Orleans. They had The Rock come out and announce it. Very big deal. They always announce these. They usually know these. They usually have these locked in at least a year and a half in advance, right? A year and a half to 2 years in advance.
No, they want to have it locked in about a year and a half, because, or a month or so, because then they announce it during WrestleMania weekend. But for some reason, they did it earlier this go round. And I think that actually caused a lot of these issues, and we'll touch on them.
Yeah, I don't remember an instance where something like this happened, where they announce it and they, you know, of course they do the big, like I said, they had The Rock come out and do it, big deal. And then now we're finding out that it's not going to be in New Orleans. After all, it's probably going to be in Las Vegas, or there's other possibilities, but it's changed. I don't remember that ever happening before. Now, do you know? I mean, I know that there have been instances where maybe a venue has been changed. For example, which WrestleMania was it? I get mixed up.
8 had a venue change.
WrestleMania 8. Yeah, Sergeant Slaughter versus Hulk Hogan in the main event. They had to move to a smaller. They couldn't do a stadium.
That was 7.
With that.
That was 7.
Oh, that was 7.
Sorry, 7. 8 in Indianapolis. 7 was the move.
It was in Los Angeles.
They were gonna have
it, and they had to move it to the LA Forum.
No, they didn't even get it moved to the Forum. The Forum, they couldn't do it at the Forum. The Lakers were playing. They had to go to the Los Angeles Civic Center.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, wait, double check that. But it was not at the Forum. What had happened was we went to war, and they were going to have it at the Coliseum. And the fear was that Iraqi forces could attack because it was an open state.
Yeah, it was for security reasons.
They told Vince, hey, you're going to have to hire security, and security would have been in the millions. They would have had to have planes above the stadium.
But I see. I always thought. Now you might know more about this than I do, Eric, and it sounds like you do know some more of the details than I do, anyway. So let me ask you this. Excuse me. I've always been under the impression that was a bullshit cover story to save face, and that what actually happened was ticket sales were too soft because it wasn't a particularly strong main event, so they had to move it to a smaller venue, and that the story and that everything else was just a cover story to try to save face in the media.
We'll never know the real truth. I'm actually gonna lean towards the latter, being more true than the other. Look, if ticket sales were good, Vince would have spent the money for the security.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So I don't buy that at all.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that's just WWF stated.
Yeah.
So Bruce Pritchard actually said, reading information here, both were accurate statements. Ticket sales were soft, but security concerns were coming into it. So I think
Okay.
it was, but Pritchard had said that even if WWE sold out the scope of the event was too large for police to ensure its security.
Okay.
And WWF would have had to foot the entire bill
Mm-hmm.
for it. So, look, yeah, it was moved to the Los Memorial Sports Arena.
Okay. Yeah. Which was what, like a 10,000 seat venue
Yup.
versus. Yeah.
Tickets,
So
though, had to be refunded.
no tickets had to be refunded.
No.
So they had to, right. So that just bolsters the theory that the
look, I
story
think they
was
go
wrong.
hand in hand here.
Yeah.
I think they go hand in hand because if they sold out the Coliseum.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Vince would have had no problem footing that bill.
Right.
They
Right.
didn't. You're not going to foot millions upon millions of dollars security on an arena on a Coliseum when you only have 15,000 people.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
exactly.
you're gonna lose your ass on that show because you're gonna have to paper it so it looks good
Mhm.
for pay-per-view.
Yeah. And for those who don't know, papering is when you give away, they do it in the concert business too. When you give away tickets through various means, maybe through radio contests, for example, or
Could be like AEW and hiring people to do it for tonight's premium live event.
are they doing that?
Yup, $20
really?
an hour.
Oh, no kidding. Wow. Actually paying you instead of you paying for a ticket. But
And you get in free.
yeah, yeah. Well, so yeah, and papering is done because as you mentioned, it looks better on pay-per-view. You want a full house. Also, you don't really lose any money doing that, but you increase the more people who are in the building, the more merch you're going to sell, and the better the food vendors are going to do. And it looks better in the media, people from the media who are at the event reporting on it, etc. So you always want to try to have a full house. And if that means you have to give away some tickets, then you give away some tickets. And like I said, in the concert business, it's done all the time as well.
Yeah,
So
it's not uncommon. And the
right.
thing is like people always give wrestling crap for it. It's like they, believe it or not, they've done it for some Final Fours.
Oh, have they? Yeah. Yeah, I believe it. Yeah.
I mean,
they could do that.
They've done it for Final Fours. They don't do it now for the Final Four because goodness heavens, it makes just buku money. No need to do it, but I don't think, and people can correct me, they've ever done it for a Super.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't think they would.
But it happens.
Yeah.
Pro sports teams don't do it as often. They don't do it at all, and the reason is because they have so many opportunities throughout the year. It evens out.
Yeah.
Like if you have low attendance for this game, like let's say the Boston Celtics are going to be playing the Philadelphia 76ers. You're going to make your money back for that bad game when they were playing the Washington Wizards, you're going to make all that money back and turn a profit for both games with that Sixer.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Now, I don't know of another example. Well, so let me ask you this. You know offhand of another example of a venue change for WrestleMania? Because I don't know of one offhand.
No, it's the only one. I do know WCW had a couple instances of it.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, yeah. Think someone. Yeah, they've had a couple instances. I know ECW had more than a couple of instances where they had to do venue changes. None of their pay-per-views, shockingly enough.
Yeah.
But just like TV programming and things like that. So, but WrestleMania never, and even to be fair, Starrcade never had the issue.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is a highly unusual thing to happen.
This is uncharted water.
Yeah. Now New Orleans are they getting Money in the Bank? The Money in the Bank event?
Next year.
Okay.
Next year they're getting Money in the Bank. Which that leads to a weird scheduling. Money in the Bank has always been before SummerSlam. Next year it will be after SummerSlam. So I don't know how they're going to do it, because if those of you that don't know, Money, 6 wrestlers compete in a ladder match, and they climb the ladder for a briefcase. In that briefcase is a contract that gives you a WWF or world title, whichever one you choose, at any point of your choosing. It's a great storytelling technique.
Or any belt, really, because somebody cashed it in for an Intercontinental title shot once.
No,
right?
Charlotte cashed it in for the NXT. It was the Royal Rumble.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
Charlotte Royal Rumble and chose NXT.
Oh, nobody ever cashed it in. Nobody ever
on-
cashed it in for the IC title.
No,
Okay, all right.
against Rhea Ripley.
Oh, okay.
But the caveat is you have 1 year to cash it in.
Yeah.
Even if they cash it in within that 1 year, if they keep it for a year, this year's is 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Usually they cash it in on a big show, or by default they have to. Someone got injured.
Yeah.
We gotta pivot real quick. So great fail safe as well. But the big thing is, like, as it gets closer, people are like, "Oh, is this the event?" And they tease it sometimes. In SummerSlam, I don't have an official word on this, is probably the biggest event where they've had the most cash-ins.
Okay.
I mean, you've had some big ones. You had Del Rio cash in on CM Punk, Randy Orton cash in on Daniel Bryan. So I believe Edge cashed in 1 year at SummerSlam. You've had a cash in the night after Mania. But nonetheless, you're removing some major events you could have this at now.
Right.
So there's only one way you do that switch, and that's money.
Yeah. So we had talked earlier about reasons, rumors. They did
Innuendo.
They did very well in Las Vegas with this past WrestleMania. And I saw something online about maybe that might be a permanent thing. Just maybe every year WrestleMania is in Las Vegas.
Well, the problem with that is you're going, the novelty wears off. You're going to not just ruin Las Vegas for WrestleMania, you're going to ruin Las Vegas for pro wrestling in general. because they know they get this big event every year.
Yeah.
So if your fans if you live in the Nevada area or surrounding areas of Las Vegas, are you going to go to the Thomas and Mack Center to see a Monday Night Raw when you know you're going to get 2 nights of WrestleMania? No.
Well, maybe some people might, because I mean,
Yeah,
obviously
your
it's a lot cheaper to
die-
go to the Raw. So if you're willing to spend the money,
Your
if you're able to,
diehards are,
yeah.
but your diehards don't sell tickets because you already account for them.
Hmm.
Your casuals, they are the ones that really move tickets. For casuals, yeah, Raw's cheaper, not much with the current ticket prices, but Raw's per. But I'm gonna get 2 nights of the biggest event. I'll wait. I think that, in my opinion, that's a bad move.
Interesting.
And Vegas isn't going to cater to WWE every year for a weekend in April.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. What happens if the Final Four wants to be in Vegas? Traditionally, WrestleMania has been a Final Four weekend. I mean, are you going to piss off the NCAA? Because I guarantee you, if they tell the NCAA, hey, can't have the Final Four here, why? We have pro wrestling here. The NCAA, like, okay, fine. F you. Thank you, F you, bye.
Right.
Go to Indianapolis. We'll go to Atlanta. We'll go to Minneapolis. We'll go to somewhere where they have these big indoor stadiums and you can go stick it.
Right.
And so I don't know. I understand it because it all comes down to money
Yes.
at the end of the day. But I guess I don't understand the idea of let's just have it in Vegas year or even every other year.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Yeah.
Because you're really, and you're hurting other markets too.
Well, I mean, the thing is, every year, these different cities usually, just like the Olympics every 4 years, these different cities bid on WrestleMania, right? I mean, everybody, they all want to have it because it's such a boon to the local economy. They do that with the Super Bowl, right? Do different cities bid on the Super Bowl?
Yes. Now with WWE, the caveat is you get much more than WrestleMania.
Yeah, true.
The SmackDown, the Friday before, you get the Hall of Fame, you get NXT now, 2 nights of WrestleMania, then you Monday Night Raw the night after.
Yeah.
So with TKO, you might even get a UFC event sprinkled in.
Yep.
So you get so much more. I think that's why WWE right now feels so comfortable doing this change. Because they're like, you know what? We'll give you this. What's New Orleans going to say? No.
Right.
You're not only saying no to WWE, you're saying no to TKO. And you're saying no to UFC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what was the other thing you mentioned to me too about they might possibly do it at Wembley Stadium in the future?
The rumor is that the other reason is that they want to go international.
Yeah. Because they've never done a WrestleMania outside the country. Well, no, I'm sorry. That's not true. Canada, Toronto. the Toronto Sky Dome. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
But
tomato.
they've never left the continental. They've never left the North America, I should say.
No, the idea is, why don't we take the biggest show ever? My issue with that is, who's going to blink first? Because the NFL has stated they want to do a Super Bowl
I remember hearing that.
in London, or one of their internationals, not
Yeah.
Germany, because the stadium in Germany couldn't do
Ah.
it. I don't think, but one of the international footholds. I think. Sorry, it's gonna be who blinks first.
Yeah. Well, anything else on that, or should we move on? I don't.
I mean, I just think that the whole thing is IWF got their WWE ridiculous
living in the
now.
past. Wow.
I know. I'm awful today. Let me tell you today. You know, I think the big thing that we need to keep in mind here is, I think what this came down to is WWE got their final receipts
Mhm.
for WrestleMania and saw how much money they made. They, in their heads, they said, well, we did this much on Easter weekend. We broke I believe they broke the WrestleMania event gross
Oh, did
with
they?
Vegas
Yeah.
by a large amount, I would assume, to do this, because this is ballsy.
Yeah.
And they're like, imagine what we could do on a non-holiday weekend.
Yes.
Again, this could bite them, because on a holiday weekend to Vegas, going to guess flights were a little bit cheaper, because families aren't going to Vegas on Easter weekend.
Right.
So rooms were probably cheaper. I think flights were cheaper. But if you have it now, first weekend of April, again, Final Four weekend, Vegas is popping with sports gambling.
Mm-hmm.
Those rooms are going to go, those flights are going to go up. You don't have that fail-safe of Eastern being cheap in Vegas. So I think, I don't know. I'm not a business major. I'm not a businessman. I just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I could see it, and I could see New Orleans really kind of having sour grapes about this.
By the way, Alfredo Enrique Benavides, who now goes by Enrique Benavides Alfredo, our friend Alfredo, who's just such a fantastic musician. He posted a few things in the live chat. Unleashed. Well, not quite, a different show. But he said Osteen is a grifter. WrestleMania 2025, Trump versus Logic, and WrestleMania aboard the Qatari airliner. Well, by the way, so
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
I remember at one point too, there being a rumor about a potential future WrestleMania. This reminds me, Fredo's last comment there reminds me of this at in Saudi Arabia. WrestleMania Crown Jewel or something.
Here's the problem with that is you have so many wrestlers that refuse to go to Saudi Arabia.
Are there that many?
Yes. Sami Zayn, CM.
No, Sami Zayn goes.
He was one of them, but Punk refuses to go.
Punk can't go because of a tweet that he when he was in AEW, he said something about it online that kind of precludes him from ever going there, I think. Yeah.
Look, here's what I say is that I think if WWE came into it and said, "Hey, we need this guy here," allowed there. I don't think I think in his contract he when he sat and went through it, I think it was one of the things that he's like, I don't agree with the stuff that goes on there.
Yeah.
I'm not going.
Yeah. Yeah.
So some people sit here and say, well, that isn't right. Well, in pro wrestling, yeah, it is. I mean, if you have the juice to sit there and say, I'm not doing this.
Yeah. Good for him.
You can die on that hill, and that hill, it has a foundation of morality.
Mm-hmm.
Then why not do it?
Right. Agreed. I agree.
I mean, it wasn't Rob Van Dam who just said, I really don't feel like going.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
like, we will do a show on Rob Van Dam.
Oh, we
pretty
must.
Sure.
Yes, we must.
That is one of my RVD stories ever.
Yeah.
That and him, Bruce Pritchard, and telling him to pick a hand.
Yes. We'll have to do that. We'll have to do an RVD show.
Yeah. Just not many guys would have the balls to go up to Taz,
right,
and say pick a hand, and then smack.
Yes. Agreed. Well, should we get to the main event? As my voice is cracking.
Yeah. Hey. Yeah. Okay. Prepubescent Michael Buffer. Let's get ready to rumble.
Yes. Of course. I'm trying to get this to load the way I want it to. Let's see. Let me try it this way. I'm still learning the. Nope, that's not it. I'm still learning here the ins and outs of doing this live stream here in terms of the video part. And I was gonna be really smooth about what I just did, and it did not work out.
Well, it's only smooth if
it works. I apologize to our audio only listeners who don't even know what I'm talking about. Let me try this though. I'm learning. Give me a couple more weeks. We'll be nice and smooth with it. There he is. The best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. Bret the Hitman Hart.
I think we should have a WCW Bret picture for this one, because that's kind of the subject here.
But don't we want to remember him the way? Don't we want to remember him in all his glory? No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, there was glorious moments in W.
No, there were.
I mean, there were. I just don't.
We should clarify something for people new to the show. If you're just checking out the show for the first time, so every week we do a different subject. And for the main event, last week's main event subject was Bret the Hitman Hart, but we got to the end, and it had already been a long show, and I said, maybe we should do a part 2 of Bret, because we should talk about his run in WCW. I found something. Yeah. I found a picture that'll work. But, because obviously there were some significant moments there. And
there was.
And I particularly like the classic promo about El Dandy. A real jam up guy.
For me, my favorite, like, we're just talking overall. We're not talking match, because my favorite match in WCW is different than my favorite moment.
Okay.
Of Bret in WCW. My favorite Bret WW moment has to be where he had the metal plate on his stomach.
Yes.
And Goldberg spears him, and just the little nuances Bret put into everything. Like, and then he goes, I quit. Like, Way to be an a-hole, Brett.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, he was obviously being a heel. I think he was a heel at that point, right? One of the things they got wrong with him in WCW was the lack of consistency.
I mean, that, and it just seems like he gets scapegoated for a lot of things that he shouldn't be scapegoated for, in my opinion. He gets scapegoated for NWO 2000 failing by the King of the Bros. Then Russo has said many times that he needed Bret to have it work. If you needed Bret Hart to revitalize a dead faction with that made no sense had him join because they were a heel faction.
Yeah.
I mean, NWO 2000 was staunchly heel. You could even argue that they might have had go home heat because they had Jeff Jarrett, Scott Steiner in it. You know, they had guys that people were legitimately annoyed with. I'm saying that more towards Jeff Jarrett than Steiner.
Yeah.
But he's like, I needed Bret to make it work. That's a bad idea. Because you're putting him, why in a heel faction? Are you going to your world champion in the heel faction with two guys that over him?
Right.
Why wouldn't Hall or Nash just beat the bejesus out of him and become champ? Why? And your world champ has to be the leader of the group.
Yeah.
So why is Hart the leader of this group when you have an original member in Kevin Nash and Scott and Jeff Jarrett? Three guys that would have legit exception with WCW. So yeah, he gets scapegoated for that. Gets scapegoated for Thunder failing because he got injured. Thunder failed because WCW cut Turner or AOM Warner cut WCW's print budget by 40% and said, "Hey, you're going to have a second show." So you're giving them less money when they're making more than they've ever made. And on top of that, you need to tap out resources that you're already tapping out.
Yeah.
It just is so that's not Bret's fault either.
No.
That's mismanagement. And then the third thing that they always goad him on is that Bret lost his heart.
Well, Bischoff likes to say that specifically. I don't think I've ever heard anyone else really say that, but Bischoff says that a lot.
There are some guys that were in the WCW locker room that have alluded to it.
Yeah.
Flair has said it in the past, depending on the day when you catch him.
Yeah.
Hogan has said it, but again, I'm listing some awful sources here. Sting said it, but Sting also would think everyone's heart was kind of out of it. Kevin Nash said it best. There's only so many times you're like, but, sign the check. Just sign my check.
Yeah.
You know, you can only argue so much.
Right.
I mean, look, with two major things that happened to him, being screwed over by Vince McMahon and the tragic death of his brother Owen. How could both happening due to business that has consumed your life? How could you not have a little bit? How could you like go still have the same drive and same work ethic and
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void were prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Everything with those two things.
Right.
It should have been expected. And when you give someone, and this will be my last point on the whole thing. When you give someone a shit sandwich as their first meal, they're not going to want to come back to the restaurant.
Yeah.
The whole thing they gave Brett to start was stupid.
I know. The creative right out of the gate was really bad, really sloppy. And they had so much they could have capitalized on because of the Montreal screw job.
And that's why
I don't even remember exactly what they did. I remember him. He was a
they brought him in.
special guest referee for something.
They brought him in for special guest referee, Starrcade 97, in a mid-car match.
Yeah.
Between Eric Bischoff and Larry Zbyszko. And the story was that Bischoff was bringing Brett in as a new member of the NWO, which at that point had lost some traction.
Yeah.
But what? He was the hottest free agent in pro wrestling. Everyone knows what happened. And the best you could with is, all right, you're going to have this match with an aging has-been, no offense to Larry Zbyszko, but he was well past his prime when this happened.
Oh, yeah.
And a guy who has never worked a match in his life.
Yeah.
I mean, he might have had a mixed tag with Hogan at that point, but like no real monumental training.
Right.
And you're going to have the hottest free in pro wrestling. That's where he's going to make his big debut, his in-ring debut.
Yeah. Didn't make any sense.
And then you had the botched finish that he was a part of at K97 between Sting and Hogan. I mean, again, Brett can only do what he's told. He went out there and did what he was told, but it made no damn sense.
No.
Because the count was done wrong. It was done correctly, but it wasn't done how it was supposed to be done to make Brett's appearance make sense.
Yeah. The other thing, speaking of making sense, and I referred to it earlier, but just the lack of consistency. I talk a lot about, and I think wrestling fans generally care about things like character development, logical storytelling, all of that. I think that's why WWE is having such a good run right now, because Triple H clearly understands that. They never had that for Brett. I mean, how many times did he turn face and heel and face and heel? I mean, not at the level of the Big Show, but but quite a few times from what I recall. And there was never any logic to it.
No, there wasn't. There really wasn't. And the only logical thing is when he came back from Owen passing away, he was a face, which that's a no-brainer. You're not going to Bret Hart come back as a heel after his brother died,
right?
Like tragically too. I mean, we gotta. I think we gotta keep hitting that home. Is that it was a tragedy?
Yeah,
it was a typical pro wrestler death where he died due to drugs or drunk driving or a heart attack brought on by pharmaceuticals.
Yeah,
it was a tragedy that occurred to Owen Hart. So yeah, I don't know what else I can say there. None of it, and they had something good. They screwed it up. They just like Goldberg. They had great rivalry with Goldberg going, and then Goldberg kicks his head off and ends his career.
Yep. Yeah. Now, what are some good moments for Brett in WCW in your opinion? I mean, I joke about the El Dandy promo just because that kind of showcased Brett's dry sense of humor, which I thought was always underutilized. But
I got to go with two moments, and they feature both of them feature a very controversial visual. I gotta say, moment number one is the Mayhem 2000 pay-per-view, where he was in the World Championship tournament and he won in Toronto, and he beat a who's who. I believe he beat Sting in the semifinal and beat Chris Benoit in the final.
Okay.
And both showcase that how great Brett is, because he can have differences on the same card,
Mm-hmm.
and it makes perfect sense. And then I gotta say the Owen Hart tribute match at Kemper Arena with Chris Benoit.
Yeah.
I think those are his two shining moments. And then the underrated moment I feel is him and at Sold Out 1998.
Okay.
That was his first pay-per-view match with WCW. That was logical. Match him and Ric Flair up. I'm not saying that he had to be main event at Starrcade. No, main event at Starrcade was Hogan Sting. That was it. But you cannot put him on as a guest referee on the mid card.
Yeah.
Like, wait, what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah, not a lot of, I mean, there's not a lot of standout moments for me in terms of reflecting on his WCW run. No, I just feel like they wasted him, And then, of course, tragically, what happened with Goldberg and that errant kick that put Brett out, which may have, I will never probably know for sure, but may have been the cause of the stroke that he ended up having.
There's a lot of people say Brett is very bitter towards Goldberg, and there are times I'm like, it's getting old. Then I think about what that kick did to him.
Mm-hmm.
If you have any semblance of medical knowledge, you have to know that kick contributed to that stroke. That kick was vicious. And it was unnecessary. There was no reason for that kick to be in the match.
Well, why do you say that? Like, why should the kick not have been there at all?
Well, one, it's a dangerous thing to do anyway. You have it's a common spot in Goldberg's matches.
Yeah.
Even after that,
Yeah.
you have a guy ropes, and your back is to him, and you're going to mule kick him to the face.
Yeah.
Like, there are just so many things that can go wrong. You're like with what happened with Bill is their distance wasn't there to execute that.
Yeah.
It wasn't. And no, your back's turned to him.
Yeah.
I mean, and Brett couldn't get his hands up quick enough.
Right.
Again, your back is to him. So how timing's off?
Right. Right.
I mean, what's Brett going to do? Yell, no?
Yeah.
And Brett's a professional. Brett ain't going to do that.
Right.
Probably should have.
Right.
Or called an audible, but that's armchair quarterbacking there.
Yeah.
So you look at that, and then you look at the stroke, and it's like Bill Goldberg really took a lot from that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And for people and for Goldberg to say, I've many times as I'm going to. Yeah, cool, Bill. You said your sorries. But the sorries I've heard from Bill Goldberg haven't been contrite. They've just been boilerplate apologies. Like, it's like, did you make an attempt to call him? Did you make an attempt to get in touch with him? No, you didn't.
Well, I'm
Bret, there are far more people Bret Hart is bitter with that I don't understand
right.
than Bill Goldberg. Like, I'm totally fine with him being Bruce
Sure.
Goldberg.
Sure.
I have no issue with it.
Yeah.
And just because Bret Hart isn't the first guy, Bret
Right.
Hart isn't the first guy that Bill Goldberg took liberties on. I mean, their match he had with Steven Regal, where you can see Bill was not a professional wrestler.
Mhm.
Full stop.
I'm curious if you think, because Brett is bitter at a lot of people, where you kind of go, geez, really? This kind of goes back to what we were talking about last week when I asked you that question that led into our discussion about the Montreal Screwjob. Are there things that you might criticize Brett on? And I would say, and you alluded to it, and I would say too that, and again, we're both big Bret Hart fans. I know he's your favorite. He's my second favorite. Love Bret Hart, but yeah, some of these grudges that he's hung on to, yeah, you do kind of go, wow, really, dude? You're still. He does come across as a bitter guy sometimes. I have always kind of wondered, though, how much of that is possibly, when somebody has a stroke or anything where anything that affects the brain, it can change your personality, and
It can.
and I do wonder how much of that could possibly be, and we'll never know, but I wonder how much of that could possibly be a result of that stroke, what happened to him, because a brain can change in a moment like that. And it's funny because he seems, any interview I've seen or listened to with him, he seems like a pretty happy guy and pretty happy with his life overall, unless you start talking to him about wrestling specifically.
Yeah.
And then he finds things to be angry about and kind of bitter about. And he also finds things to be proud of and happy with too, to be fair.
Right. Oh, yeah.
But
I think, again, I'll circle back to the point of when I said the Bret losing his heart after everything that happened.
yeah,
Everything that's happened. I mean, wrestling, in a way, destroyed this man's family. In a way, it destroyed him.
mm-hmm.
I mean, there's hearts that are at odds with each other.
Oh yeah.
And I do want to mention a mishap we had last week, since we brought up the family.
Oh, that's right.
We said 8 kids. No, there is 12 kids, 8 sons and 4 daughters. All 8 men wrestled, and all 4 daughters married wrestlers.
That's a lot of kids. They're not even Catholic, are they?
Is.
The Hart family?
I don't think they're religious in much. I mean,
No.
after like kid 5, that was like a slip and slide.
And we said last week, I guess it's cold in Calgary.
I mean, those kids came out. I mean, you would have more of a problem taking a cheesy shit than squeezing those kids out after that.
Do you think maybe Stu wanted to have like his own? Well, I mean, he did. He had Stampede Wrestling, but maybe his own sort of.
Yes.
He wanted to have Stampede Wrestling be all Hearts.
Stu's an enigma.
Yeah.
I think being just a Bret Hart fan, and you do research on, go down that rabbit hole, or at least I do when I become a fan of you. And there are some of these things that I've went down the rabbit hole on, and I still go down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
The Mafia being one of them. But what I will say is that when you go down the rabbit hole, Stu only knew one way to be a parent, I think. And I think wrestling was a way for him to bond with his boys.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I way to connect them in a way that he felt, and again, I'm speculating here, that he felt he was handing something down to them that they could use. Now people will compare the two, and to me, it's in a comparison. And I'll get into why. Fritz Von Erich and Stu Hart.
Ryan Seacrest here. When you have a busy schedule, it's important to maximize your downtime. One of the best ways to do that is by going to ChumbaCasino.com. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino games like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire that you can play for free for a chance to redeem some serious prizes. So hop on to ChumbaCasino.com now and live the Chumba life. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
The major difference is I don't think Stu pushed a lot of the boys into wrestling.
Yeah.
I think they grew up around it, so it just became natural.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Now Brett said that he wanted to be an amateur wrestler. He wanted to go to the Olympics and everything like that. But Stampede was struggling. So he felt the only way he could help father is to join Stampede Wrestling. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and say, yeah, there's probably some truth there.
Yeah.
You know, there's probably some truth.
Yeah.
Honestly, to that.
Yeah.
Do I think that Brett, but do I think that Fritz, I believe, pushed his boys into it. I mean, Chris or Mike, it was one of them that he really was hard on. That just did not have the body for wrestling, didn't have the athletic ability for wrestling, but in side because of it. Or one of the reasons, again, based on who you talk to.
Yeah.
But so that's the overwhelming difference. And I don't think Stu ever was hard. I think he was hard on the boys, but there's a difference between being hard and abusive.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I don't think Stu was ever abusive to the boys.
Right. Yeah, I've never seen or heard any reports of that. Yeah.
I think Stu was more, I'm going to try to do a Stu Hart impersonation. Like, hey, you could try it like this, and, do it like that. Instead, you did, and you messed up that spot in the ring, and got to be careful that you might get hurt, and I probably would have potatoed you, and, but you're my son, so you didn't get the receipt. Telling you.
Yeah.
That was very Macho Man Savage-esque, but yeah, nonetheless, I think Stu also let his boys be his boys, which is really awesome because you hear the stories about Owen being a ribber.
Yeah.
You hear the stories about Jim Beasy and falling for a fake Sammy Hagar. Have you ever heard the fake Sammy Hagar story?
I don't think I have.
Oh, this is great. So, the boy playing, it's Bret Hart, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and Adrian. This was on the Dark Side of the Ring Unheard podcast.
Okay.
There's actually video of it on YouTube of WWF botching this. Adrian Adonis is sitting with the guy, and he looks back at Bret and Jim on the plane, and he goes, "It's Sammy Hagar."
Huh.
And Brett and Jim goes, "That's not Sammy Hagar." And Brett goes, "Adrian says it is, so look, kind of looks like him." Brett's indifferent. Brett's whole thing is, I'm just trying to keep a job.
Yeah.
Because they were relatively new. The Hart Foundation just started. So whenever you just start, you're kind of on ice.
Mhm.
One wrong move can destroy
Oh,
you.
yeah.
And Adrian was kind of that. He was a top heel.
Yeah.
So you really can't speak out against him.
Right.
So Brett has a tendency of saying whenever cocaine is involved, it was snowing pretty that night.
Yeah.
So they get to the arena. They get to the arena, and Adrian's locked in a room with Sammy Gar.
Yeah.
At this point, he'd already had passes because Adrian had convinced WWF, and WWF believed it. This is Sammy Hagar. Well, Jim notices that this guy, this Sammy, we'll call him generic Sammy, wearing a Timex watch. It's like Sammy wouldn't wear a Timex watch. Well, they're in the room partying with them, and Sammy does a line of blow. Generic Sammy, and is bleeding. Jim the Anvil Neidhart yells, "That is Sammy Hagar!" So the best part is WWF at Madison Square Garden, the Mecca, brings this fake Sammy Hagar to the ring, shares it with the crowd, and in attendance with us is Sammy Hagar.
Wow, really?
The video is on YouTube, and you can tell this is not Sammy Hagar.
Oh, wow.
In any stretch of the imagination.
Oh, wow.
And I greatly paraphrase the story, but afterwards, they're getting WWF, rightfully so, and they are WWF at this point.
Yeah.
They're getting a shit. People are pissed. You just lied to the audience and said this is Sammy fucking Hagar.
Yeah.
So WWF is looking around, trying to figure out who said this was Sammy Hagar, who got clearance. Brett goes, he was with A. Immediately just burying Adonis.
Wow. So I found the video here. This might be an interesting time to try this out. See if I can import this into the show without screwing it up. For those of you watching live, the live video feed on social media.
For those of you that want to hear the story and critique me on what I might have gotten wrong, I just kind of pulled this out of my head and go to Dark Side of the Ring Unheard, and it's Bret Hart is the episode where they talk about Bret.
Okay.
Yes, it is. The Bret does a better job of telling the story than I ever could.
All right, I'm gonna.
But yeah,
the
fake Sammy Hagar.
I found a video here titled WWE. The WWF has no clue who Sammy Hagar is. All right, let's see if I can play this.
But I was lead singer for Van Halen, ladies and gentlemen, Sammy Hagar.
What the hell?
Hello, New York. How's it going? Sammy Hagar getting a special introduction here in Madison Square Garden, the lead singer with the Van Halen group.
Yes, very talented youngster.
Big wrestling fan.
And a tremendous wrestling. He actually knows me.
Wow. I never knew about that. So that wasn't a rib. They legitimately thought that was Sammy Hagar.
They legit thought that was Sammy Hagar.
What the fuck? Wow. That's crazy. And it looked nothing like him.
Nothing.
Like, not even in the
You know-
same galaxy. Like, what?
You know what, Matt? I just seen that video. Had a thought.
Yeah.
He looks a lot like a younger New Yorker.
Oh.
No,
You think it might have been the infamous Jose Martinez in his younger days?
I think it might have been a younger Jose.
Wow. That's
You-
incredible.
I mean, hey, you know what? He always says he worked a job that his life was on the line.
Yes.
I would say lying to Adrian Adonis, life is on the line.
Right.
That is not a guy I would want to lie to.
Right.
One of the legit tough guys in pro wrestling, without a doubt, is
Yeah.
Adrian Adonis. And you see his gimmick.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
And you're like, there's me in hell. But you hear the stories on shoot interviews of him clearing
Oh, yeah.
bars.
Yeah. He was a tough guy. Legit tough guy. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And the dark side of the ring about him is so sad.
Really.
He was getting it together. He really was on the coil and died tragically in a car accident.
Yeah. Yep. I remember that.
Just heartbreaking to hear. I mean, his matches, if anyone can find him when he was in the tag team, Jesse the Body Ventura,
Hmm.
they were great.
Yeah.
I believe it was in AWA.
Yes. That would have been
When they tag teamed
AWA.
together.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, because Jesse had to retire shortly after he got to WWF.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah. Wow. That's like, I can't believe what I just saw.
I taught you something today.
You
Matt.
sure did. I never knew about that. I'd never heard that before. That is really funny. That is really funny.
Fake Sammy Hagar.
Mm.
And the best part is when he goes bounding into the ring. He just roll.
Yeah, he looked like he was coked out. Like he,
Again, it says
yeah.
it was snowing pretty
It was
heavy
snowing,
that
yeah.
night.
Jesus. Wow. That's
Like, I also like how awkwardly Dan Spivey to him and shakes his hand like Dan Spivey. He's sitting there like, is this a ring?
yeah.
I'm being rigged. And then even the announcers, like Gorilla Monsoon, is like playing it like the great straight man he
Oh
is.
yeah.
But then Lord Alfred Hayes is like,
I think he knew.
I know. Lord Alfred Hayes definitely.
Yeah,
he's
he
just
knew.
like ain't no mother way. Hagar.
Yeah, that's incredible. I genuinely can't believe what I just saw. I never knew about that. That is so funny.
Everyone, we need to have a vote on the Tough Bumps page. Could this be the slightly off kilter neuter Jose Martinez?
Yes.
Could it be him? If so, we might have to have a no.
We definitely need to spread this rumor. We need to
Oh yes, we need to get this going.
yeah.
It needs to gain traction.
The only problem is If it was him,
There's no problem.
If it was,
There's no problem.
If it was him, he would tell us, wouldn't he? Like, wouldn't he be bragging about that every video? I mean, he brags about interviewing the keyboard player from Vanilla Fudge.
No, like, here's the deal with it is how many people are still alive that are pissed off at you for that? Like, they bought tickets to the event and they're like, oh, Sammy Hagar's here, and your dumbass goes into the ring.
Right.
Something you want to brag about.
That's so funny.
Such a moment of infamy that and infamy is the way of saying famous. I totally get that. But you brag about it.
Has Sammy Hagar commented on this? That you know?
I don't know.
Because
I don't know.
I'm a big Hagar fan because I love Van Halen. I'm especially a Hagar deep.
No,
but I never heard this before.
I'm David Lee Roth.
I love them both for different reasons, but I prefer Hagar.
I think David Lee Roth is the better performer. I think Sammy Hagar is more talented.
Oh, by far. Yeah, by far.
Yeah. But I think Van Halen gets to the levels they got to with David Lee Roth.
Oh, fair.
Because you need that dynamic, over the top presence as a front man, and he had that. He had the charisma, he had the over the top, and he had the ego. Believe me, he had the ego.
I'm just Googling really quickly to see if Hagar has ever commented, if he even knows about it on fake.
You know, I think Sammy Hagar, if he did, would be the guy that'd be like, that's hilarious.
Oh, I think he would find it funny. I certainly don't think he'd be angry. No,
Sammy Hagar might have invited the guy to a been like, hey, you want to perform for me tonight?
Yeah. It looks like he's never publicly commented on. He might not even know about it, but no, that is funny.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
I think it was Steven, in which, they have commentators.
Yeah.
So I think it was, I think it was just, and I had just heard about that.
Yeah.
Like a little over a month ago, I want to say.
Oh,
when
wow. That's
when
funny.
I listened to the Bret Hart, of course I listened to the Bret Hart Dark Side Unheard. Wouldn't I?
Yeah.
I was working, we could have one AirPod in, I was listening, and I heard that story, and I'm just sitting there and parcels around, and I'm just laughing because the best stories are the ones you can visualize in your head.
Yeah.
I'm visualizing Jim the Anvil Neidhart marking out.
Oh, yeah.
Because fake Sammy Hagar has a nosebleed after doing a line of blow.
Oh, boy.
But we're starting there.
Yes. But obviously that wasn't Sammy because that was 1986 and Sammy would have been wearing Zubaz pants.
No, I mean, he was dressy. He was dressy.
Looking classy. That was funny. That was great.
I mean, I'm surprised we didn't get impromptu performance of Heaven's Door.
Woman. Let's see.
Woman.
I think
Matt, I can't take much more.
Well, he hasn't posted anything in like 5 days, so maybe who knows? Maybe finally succumbed to something. I hope not. But
yeah, you don't want to.
No, God, no. That would be the end of that mode of entertainment that we've all enjoyed for so many years now. We should do at and I'm not suggesting this for next week. I'm suggesting we do it now, but I think we should do a part 3 of Brett. I think we should talk about his post. Yeah, it's kind of a palate cleanser after talking about his WCW run.
Yeah,
I think
there's a lot of interesting stuff that Brett has done.
Yeah.
I mean, he did after a stroke, he did become a United States heavyweight champion.
Yes.
And he was in a WrestleMania main event, a SummerSlam,
Refresh my memory.
the 10-man tag.
Oh, he was
John Cena's against the Nexus.
Oh, that's right. I had completely forgotten about that. I'd totally forgotten about that. I'm sure Brett didn't do much in that match, right?
Well, Brett couldn't. And
Yeah.
but here's what makes him again. I've thrown this word out so many times. So legendary and so great is, Brett couldn't do much. Because he was paid out on his Lloyd's of London insurance policy.
Yeah.
He couldn't take a bump.
Right.
He couldn't take chair shots. He couldn't do what he wanted to do. But the curiosity, you wanted to see it.
Yeah.
Even after the match he had with McMahon.
Yeah. Which was awful. Ugh.
I don't care.
I hated that match so much. It just went on too long. For those who don't know, we're referring to Brett's comeback match, which was against Vince at WrestleMania. And the whole thing is basically just Brett with the rest of the Hart family around the ring. Yeah, just beating the hell out of McMahon with a chair. Honestly, I found it uncomfortable. Just hitting him with that chair over and over again. And it just went on so damn long. If it had been half as long, it still would have been too long. It should have been a lot shorter.
The moment that is etched in my mind, the very end of the match, Vince is going out on the stretcher.
Oh, yeah.
He sits up and flips Brett off,
Yeah.
blood gushing down his face.
Yeah. No, that is.
And it's like,
yeah.
in the story, they did such an amazing job telling the story leading up to that.
Leading up to it, but the match itself, I absolutely.
The match sucked.
I did not enjoy it.
I'm disagreeing with that.
Oh, I know.
But the story, you had to know it wasn't going to be good.
Well, I didn't expect, but I didn't think it was going to be. Well, it had to be at least 20 minutes, right? It seemed longer. It seemed to just go on, and just Brett hitting Vince with this chair over and over. It's like, Jesus Christ! I don't think it made Brett look very good as a character. It made him look like somebody who has just sadistic.
I think the thing with that is if you were a Bret Hart fan, actually the match went on for 11 minutes.
It was only 11 minutes? God, it felt like it was at least 20 when I was watching it. It just seemed like it would just went on forever. Ugh.
I think what that served, and it's how do I want to say this? Such a narrow, gratifying.
Mm-hmm.
Narrow, self-gratifying thing is if you're a Bret Hart fan, it gave you satisfaction finally watching Brett kick his ass.
I know, but
I mean, we story of Brett punching Vince.
Yeah.
But we gotta see it. And it was uncomfortable, and
yeah, it brought me no joy.
It wasn't good. But as a Brett fan, I was happy.
Sure.
I was just like, hey, this could go on another 11 minutes.
Oh God.
Have Natalia come in and fart on him.
It's the whole thing.
He's into that.
Yeah.
He's into that, Matt.
Well, well, sure. I want.
No, it's the other way around, I think. But
yeah, I don't want
tomato.
I don't want to think about any of that. Actually, I'd almost rather watch that match again than think about any of that.
Matt, I'm giving you two options of what you can do after this show.
Yeah.
You can be on a private video chat with me, and I can get into Vince McMahon's proclivities or you watch that match 3 times in a row.
That is tough. That match is only 11 minutes? Really? I remember watching it and thinking, is this ever going to fucking end? Like, how many chair shots are we up to? This whole thing is just him hitting him with a fucking chair. What am I looking at? That was my reaction at the time.
Wearing a hockey jersey,
Yeah.
the baggiest pair of jorts.
Yeah, that was weird too. That was strange too.
Bret Hart's jorts. Bret.
I didn't expect him to come out in the spandex and everything. I get it.
Oh,
But I didn't expect him to wear that either. He looked
Hey.
dumpy. Like, the whole thing was such a turnoff to me. I hate that match.
and they gave him his entrance music.
They what?
They gave him his intro too. And remember they had WrestleMania 28, I believe it was, had that long ramp you had to walk down.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, it was awful. I'm curious to know your opinion about something though. When Bret first came back to the WWE and he had that epic moment in the ring with Shawn Michaels, where they had their where they made up and they hugged and everything. Very, very awkward hug. Bret did not look like he wanted to be hugging him.
No.
He was doing that patting thing. He was patting him on the back awkwardly as they're hugging. That thing that dudes do. I'm hugging you, but I'm also hitting you.
I think a lot of it, my opinion of that is, a lot of it is, I think it would have been better. And I'm very trepidatious saying this because I love that moment.
Mhm.
I think it would have been better if they talked backstage first instead of doing it in the ring.
This is what I wanted to get your opinion on, though. I've never believed the story because I've heard this repeated. I've heard them both say it in interviews that they went out there cold and just did this. I don't believe that, though. Do you actually believe that?
I believe it because of the amount of people that have quieted it.
I don't believe it. I think that's a work. Dude, how could they just do that? Not what if it had blown up in everyone's face and they go out there and they
Well, then hell, you're gonna have some really good TV.
I know, but I don't buy it. There had to be some sort of conversation, or at least with intermediaries maybe going between them. Okay.
There were intermediaries, and both have never denied that. TJ Tyson Kidd was the intermediary.
So everyone knew
it was
the idea, basically what the idea was.
No.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
No. The only thing that was known is they were cool and they were willing to bury the hatchet.
Well, that's what I mean, though. Because
all they knew.
Because the way
they didn't know.
Yeah, but that's the most important thing. Because
see in that interview. Sorry to cut you off, Matt. And see in that interview both things to each other, and you can tell something they said stung. Like when Shawn told Bret, I don't think you never respected me, Bret. You could tell Bret was, you could tell there he was, you want to talk about respect? Okay, Sunny Days. Something the Canadian flag, putting the Canadian flag up your nose. You want to talk to me about respect? And then Bret said some things when he's like, I want your teeth down your throat. You could tell Shawn wanted to say you were selfish, which he kind of did.
Yeah.
But You could tell he wanted to go really hard into that. So I think it was so good because you didn't know what was going to happen.
Right.
But yeah, I had no issue with it, and I do believe that it wasn't work. I think it was. I think the only thing that was worked is Sean. Are you cool with doing this? Yeah. Brett, are you cool with doing this? Yeah.
Well, yeah, but
That's it. We'll do it in the ring.
that's what I mean though, because because to hear them tell it, and I understand they're they're wrestlers. They're always working to some level, right? To hear them tell it, both Brett and Sean in interviews over the years, they kind of try to spin it like, no, we had no idea. Neither of us knew what the other was going to say, and we didn't know what was going to happen.
There's a difference
you know what I mean?
between not knowing what they're going to say and knowing that, okay, everything's cool. There's a difference.
Right.
Like, if you're walking into a divorce, a divorce hearing, you're going to assume your ex-wife is going to be cool, your ex-husband's going to be cool, but you still don't know what they're going to say or what they're going to do. Right. That's the element that people don't get. And that's what made them so great in that moment.
Yeah.
And so no, I don't have an issue with it. I think it was done beautifully. I think it was done brilliantly.
Just to be clear, I'm not criticizing the segment. I liked it too. I just mean I've just never quite bought. I feel like they've always tried to spin it like it was total, like they had neither of them had any idea what they were walking into.
I also think any level of mistrust was, I'm going to say, 80% on that. I think Sean, because of his faith, it's time.
Oh, yeah.
I think Brett was more, Brett, I think Brett was trepidatious about the whole night.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like what's going to happen? What happened? I mean, and keep in mind that show ended. I think Vince stiffed him on that low blow.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that looked brutal. And I think Vince intentionally did it.
No, I doubt it. I mean, Vince is clumsy. Everyone knows Vince is clumsy.
Yeah, Vince is awful in the ring. He's not an athlete.
Yeah.
Stretch.
Yeah.
But I there might have been a little bit of you punch me in the face. Okay. But yeah, I think they knew that it would be cool.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure the agents and producers did some with them separately.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is going to be live. Like, we're going to give you both leeway, but you both are going to be professional. And we're not going to tolerate, because keep in mind, this was PG era too.
True.
We're not going to tolerate you going off the rails.
Right.
You go off the rails, it'll be done.
Something else about that nobody ever mentions that I just happen to really appreciate about that segment that stands out in my mind, and probably nobody else has ever even given this a thought or bothered to notice. But again, as someone who, as I'm sure you do as well, as someone who appreciates Brett's dry sense of humor, there's something in the dialogue between Brett and Sean where, because you know how wrestlers in promos, they're always like, Shawn Michaels, I'm going to do this to you. Like they always say the full name of their opponent. You know what I mean? You listen to me, Macho Man Randy Savage, you don't just say, you listen to me, Randy. Right. So when Brett, during that exchange, when he says to Sean, he goes, Shawn Michaels, or maybe I'll just call you Sean. I thought that was really funny. And I think it went by most people, but I just thought that was a really funny moment that he slipped in there. Oh, man, I'll just call you Sean. Because he's trying to make peace with him. He's not trying to threaten him. So instead of using his full name, he's only going to use his first name in that moment. And most people probably didn't even catch that, but I thought that was really funny. And I thought that was an example of Brett's dry sense of humor, a joke that probably went over most people's heads.
It went over mine. I never even thought about it until you just said it.
Yeah.
I will probably go back after we're done and watch that.
Yeah, you should.
Watch that promo because it is on the Rivals Blu-ray.
Okay.
It is in unedited in its entirety.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he gave that same wry grin he gave in the 1-2-3 match.
Yeah, probably.
Too.
Yeah.
Like I can still work. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't have an issue with it. While we've been talking, I thought about one guy. I thought about all the people Brett has been bitter with, and I've compartmentalized or come to terms with most of them.
Yeah.
Hogan, yes. Eric Bischoff. I get Brett's issue with Eric because Vince said Eric Bischoff will know how to book a Bret the Hitman Hart.
Yeah.
And he was right. Eric Bischoff didn't know how to book Bret the Hitman Hart.
Yeah.
I think those two will never see eye to eye on it because Eric invested a lot of money into Bret. And that was
and some of what Bret says, in my opinion, some of what Bret says about Eric is way over the line.
Brett
way over,
saying he's one of the dumbest men in professional wrestling.
Brett just goes way over the line with
and it's all about interactions.
Oh yeah, I know.
We've had so look, sometimes in pro wrestling, people just don't work well together.
Yeah, there's a lot of egos involved.
I think Bret Hart and Eric Bischoff did not work well together.
Yeah.
And I think some of it is Eric Bischoff was friends with Hulk Hogan at that time.
Good point.
Bret, for obvious reasons that we touched on in part 1, had some misgivings about Hulk.
Yeah.
And rightfully so, because Hulk really could have screwed him over.
Yeah.
Career-wise.
Oh, yeah.
Ric Flair, Bret's had bitter feelings towards him, and rightfully so, after Rick wrote in his book about Bret.
Although they have kind of a back and forth relationship because sometimes they've been able to work together.
They really patch things up now.
Yeah.
Like Bret was at Ric Flair's farewell match.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Yes, he was. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Bret, Mick, and Undertaker were sitting together.
That's right. I remember that. Yep. I remember seeing that picture.
So, I mean, about another guy Ric Flair has issues with, Mick Foley. And so I think they have a very good relationship now. They talk. The one guy that I'm like, Bret, stop. And I have a very strong theory as to why this is the case.
Curious.
His business towards Triple H.
Yeah, I know that is unfortunate, and it was on full display when
at WrestleMania.
The handshake. Yeah, that's another one. I feel badly about that in a way.
That's the only one that I'm like, Bret, let it go.
Yeah,
and I understand why it's there
because of Montreal.
Hunter, yes, there are two things that I'll mention. Wrestling with Shadows. Hunter tells Bret's wife, I knew nothing about it.
Yeah.
And he's pleasant, and he goes, I swear to God. Same thing Sean said.
Yep.
But then Hunter, in the infamous Confidential interview, where it was finally unearthed that Sean knew. Because I think he was starting to write his autobiography at that time. And the thought, I'm going to guess, was we'll just now.
Yeah.
Instead of when your book out, because we want your book to be well received, and there's going to be issues.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still issues when Sean's in Montreal, which people let it go. But in that interview, Triple H is bragging about it and saying he doesn't want to do business. Well, fuck him. We'll do business for him.
Yeah.
And in pro wrestling, there's a pecking order in the locker room. And I think for Brett to hear Triple H say that about him, there are different levels they were at that point in time. Brett's like, you didn't. And I think that contributed to it.
Yeah, I think that's a good theory.
I think it sucks.
Yeah.
I think it sucks because I'm proud and Triple H. I think what prevents them from talking is they're so much alike. In this, both of them are very stuck in this mentality of how good they are, how good they were.
But I also think they're different in the sense that, and again, whatever criticisms I have of Brett are purely constructive because I love him dearly. But I don't know, maybe just different mindsets. If Triple H, if the roles were reversed, I don't think Triple H would carry that bitterness that Brett does. I think
there's other things too that occurred. Like, I'm sure Brett is very good friends with Mick Foley.
Yes.
There were done in the Mick Foley retirement angle that Triple H did, and Triple H at that time, it was viewed as he was Vince's boy. That I think old timer like Brett probably like that crosses the line. And that's disrespectful to Mick. And then, Ken Shamrock have some major heat.
They do?
Brett's good. Yeah. This day, unknown as to why.
I didn't, unknown to me completely. I had no idea.
Yeah, that's why he's not been inducted into the
I've wondered.
WWE. Yeah.
I've wondered because
I think it's more on Ken's side than H's.
Probably because
but
Shamrock's kind of an odd guy, and what would Triple H have against Shamrock? You know what I mean?
I think, and then we circle back. I think a lot of it has to do with involvement in Montreal, and I think Shamrock believed Triple H did use some of his stroke to hold him back, get him to job to guys that he shouldn't have jobbed to. And, there's stories about, some guys felt that stayed Triple H when he was in DX, took some liberties on. I don't buy that because
I don't either.
Triple H and were very good friends backstage.
Yep.
So I don't buy that. You got to look at, again, that pecking order. These things happened. Triple H was not in a position to be taking liberties on a guy like Owen Hart.
No.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you want to get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather, now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
No.
Especially a position he was in, being Shawn Michaels' boy.
Right.
They were hated in the locker room.
Yeah.
You want to be even more hated? By all means, stiff Owen Hart.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't buy that, but I do think that, things heal slowly.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a major issue
Yeah.
with Brett in regards to Hunter, is he's just like, no, fuck you, and you lie to my wife, and that night you were playing with my kids,
Mm-hmm.
and then you lie to my wife, and then you this.
Yeah.
And I think there were other things said, like the infamous promo. I'm younger than everyone's younger than him. I'm better than you. Everyone's better than him, and I'm bigger than you in more ways than one. I think there are things that Hunter did, and I don't know if he's ever apologized to Brett.
Well, I don't know.
And Hunter may feel that he doesn't have to apologize. Brett may feel that he does.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally disagree with Brett's rating of Hunter.
Yeah.
When he does it, I love Brett's scale. It's a brilliant scale, and you can grade any wrestler now by it. Look, promo, in ring. I mean, he averages Hunter out at like a 4 on each of them. And it's like, that's blasphemy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the worst you could probably give Hunter is in ring. And for that, I'd give him a 6.
Yeah, I'd give him a 6 or a 7. Yeah.
Yeah, he's had some bad matches,
sure.
but overall, man,
He's a New Hampshire boy, so I got to stand for him.
You bring that up.
I do. Yes, he's
frequently.
from Nashua, New Hampshire originally. Yes.
But yeah, that's one guy
Yeah.
I wish, because imagine what Bret Hart could do if they just buried the hatchet for WWF.
And it's been so long. I mean, it's, you know what I mean? I mean, my God.
I don't think Bret, to be fair, I could watch the Mr. McMahon documentary and get this. He still doesn't like Vince.
Right. Yeah.
Like, and again, it's another one where I'm like, rightfully so. I mean, look at what Vince has done, not just to Bret, but to his family. Vince never paid Stu for Stampede.
I'd forgotten about that. Yeah. That's right. For those who don't know the story, so Vince bought Stampede Wrestling. And
you need to do it around.
Yeah, because he never paid. He just never paid him.
Yeah.
Just stiffed him.
Vince said, I employed your boys. That was enough. Your boys made you millions. Dynamite Kid, Davey Boy, Anvil, Brett, Owen. All made you millions, Vince.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. So yeah, you have every right to hate Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
And people could sit here and say, well, Stu didn't have a contract. Stu didn't have lawyers.
Yeah.
You got to understand, this man was broke and destitute when Vince came in.
Yep.
I mean, so all these old territory guys, when Vince came in, didn't have a pot to piss in.
Yep.
Vince had ruined them.
Yeah. Yeah. One other thing too that comes to mind about Brett's post WCW and return to WWE was when they put him in the Raw general manager role, which I didn't like. I didn't think it worked. I didn't think it was effective at all.
Brett is not.
It didn't work.
You need to be a grandiose showman. And I will just say this, and if you're a pro wrestling fan and you don't know this, go check your fan cards revoked. You are gonna go on with The Undertaker. You gotta be Teddy Long.
Yeah, you got to be able to sell. You got to be able to sell what
You
you're
gotta
announcing,
be.
what you're saying. Yep. Brett didn't have
You
that
gotta
ability.
be. No, and like I firmly GMs now, they don't have that ability.
Oh, I just think
There's a reason.
I like.
There's a reason why
Yeah.
Nick Aldis and Pierce aren't top tier guys in the realm of professional wrestling. They can't talk. They can't cut a promo. They do great in the backstage vignettes, but if you have them out there in the ring for 5 minutes,
Yeah, fair enough.
you know what? The click you're hearing isn't old wrestler's knees. It's the
Yeah.
click, click, click.
Yeah.
They can't talk. And to be a GM, you need that. Or you need to be so annoying that the people just love to hate you.
Right.
Vicky Guerrero.
Yes.
You have that guy. And no, Brett wasn't that.
He looked really uncomfortable too. Like he knew it. He knew it wasn't working.
I think it was a way WWE's like, damn, Brett, you're over. You're over, and you haven't even really done anything. Let's just keep riding this wave.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with pro wrestling. I'm obsessed with riding this wave.
Yeah.
You ride it right into the low tide,
exactly.
and the beach becomes just a sand trap.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what they did. Yeah, it didn't work. And then I think that was kind of it, right? In terms of the last time we saw Brett on TV on a consistent basis.
Yep.
But
yeah, there's a lot you can go into about post WCW. I mean, there's stories out there about how the reconciliation with WWE began, 8 years earlier that we can get into. There's a lot there.
Yeah.
There's a lot there. Brett's book. We haven't even touched on his book yet. His second book. His first one was a WCW autobiography that was heavily ghost.
I was going to say, I actually forgot about that. About that one. Yeah. Well, we could, I'm kind of thinking we should probably wrap this one up.
Yep.
We could maybe touch on some of that next week and maybe also do, I don't know. What do you want to do next week? This is going live, so we're kind of putting you on the spot, but
yeah, I think we could do Bret Hart, the last chapter.
We'll do a part 3.
Instead of just calling it volume 3 or part 3, the final chapter. And just kind of close it out. I think that his last WWE run was really his, it was his absolution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it was his farewell to this.
Yeah.
And I think he's totally fine with that. I mean, yes, he does appearances and everything like that. And they gave me a chance to talk about the appearance I met him at.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Because we haven't even really talked about that.
And I've only seen Bret Hart wrestle one time.
Oh, wow.
Live.
Okay. Yeah.
First seen him. And it wasn't in WWF. It was in WCW against Sting at a house show here in Cedar Rapids.
Oh, wow.
They were the main event.
Oh, well, I'll be damned. Okay. Yeah.
That's the only time I ever saw him wrestle live.
Yeah. Well, so that's what we'll do then. We'll make next week will be the final chapter.
I want everyone to know that we do have a great episode planned following this Bret Hart marathon.
Yes.
I really think it's going to be good. There is something planned.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm trying to oh, there we go. I was trying to, for those watching the video, I was trying to remember how to move the logo.
We're learning so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think we should probably, we'll wrap it up there. Episode 5. We'll wrap this one up.
Yup,
Well-
episode 5 has been great. Remember, everyone, go to the Tough Bumps Facebook page and vote. And Matt can post the video of
Yes.
it with a vote. Is this we can't say crazy, or can we?
Yeah, we can.
Is this crazy Jose Martinez? What do you think?
I'll share it to the Matt Connerton Unleashed page too.
Yes, and we will recap the vote next week.
Yes,
I think it is.
I can put up an actual
think-
poll that people can vote in.
Yes, and we also have a group chat with other fellow broadcasters.
Yes,
Their input. We gotta hit the ground running on this rumor.
yes,
I'm gonna shout him out for the second week in a row. I'm gonna ask Dirk Don what he thinks.
yeah,
Get his opinions. He's currently on his long delayed honeymoon, but I don't care. Be damned. You are going to give your input on this.
yes. Priorities, Dirk. Priorities.
Priorities. This is groundbreaking shit we're doing here.
That's right.
We're gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
I think it's him.
Yeah,
It's him.
I got to show that to Jenny.
It's him.
That's so funny. I never knew about that until today. Oh,
Again,
good Lord.
everyone, when you watch the video, go back. The podcast is only an hour, a little over an hour, and it goes by so fast. They do such a great job. Dark Side of the Ring, Unheard, Bret Hart, and hear Bret tell this story. This story wasn't even in his book.
Yeah.
Talk about a hidden gem.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Oh, that's wonderful. All right, so we'll leave it there. Of course, you can find Tough Bumps on all the podcasting platforms, et cetera, et cetera. And please give us a like, a follow, whatever that particular platform that you're enjoying this content on happens to require of you. Not require, but ask of you. And we ask of you to please continue to support that. And Eric, thank you again. And we'll talk next week.
It's fun.
Tough bumps we take, we rise again. Blood and grit, it's how we begin. Mac and Eric fire up the flame. Wrestling lives on the Tough Bumps name.
Ryan Seacrest here. When you have a busy schedule, it's important to maximize your downtime. One of the best ways to do that is by going to ChumbaCasino.com. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino games like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire that you can play for free for a chance to redeem some serious prizes. So hop on to ChumbaCasino.com now and live the Chumba life. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.